Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is Kesubos Peites. We begin at the Mishnah, which is at the very bottom of Peiches Amud Beis. So we have an Isha who is claiming her Ksuba payout 200 zuz due to divorce. Now there are two possible documents that she can produce. Number one, the actual Ksuba containing the commitment, the written commitment between husband and wife to pay her this amount upon his death or divorce. Number two, she can actually produce the get itself, which proves that in fact it was a gerushin, which entitles her to the ksuba payout. What if she only has one of these two documents? What happens? Is she entitled to collect or not? Says the Mishnah. Hoitzia get. She produced a get indicating divorce, but there is no ksuba to go along with it. Then she claims she lost the ksuba. Is she still entitled? Yes. Goyiva Kesubos, she can collect the ksuba money. Rashi explains, he can't even say, look, sure, I owed it, but I paid it up, which is typical in a situation where the claimer doesn't have any written documentation. Here it's different. Rashi brings a Gemara in Bava Metzia. Ksuba is an established, fixed feature in a Jewish marriage. It's a ma'aseh bezdin, which is uncontestable. You can't just go ahead and challenge it. So she is goyiva ksuvasa. What about the other way around? She has a ksuba without a get. Ksuba ve'eni mo get. She produces a ksuba, but no get to go along with it. Now, obviously, they both acknowledge that there was a gerushin. So what's the issue? Oh, the Mishnah explains. He oimeres. She claims avad giti. The truth is that I had a get, but I lost it. I never used it to claim any ksuba payout. This is the first time I'm here to collect. Here's the ksuba indicating that commitment. I want to collect on it. V'hu oimer avad sheivari. He says, well, this is not your first time around. You've been here before. The past time you had brought your get in line with the first halacha in the Mishnah. You produced a get. You collected your ksuba without the actual ksuba document. The fact is that the bezdin instructed you to give me a shayvar, a receipt. This way, if you ever attempt to collect again by way of a ksuba, then I'll have a receipt to prove that I already paid you, and I lost that shayvar. I have misplaced that receipt. Okay, so again, she has a ksuba, ve'eni mo get, without any get to come along with it. He oimeres avad giti. She said, look, I never used the get to collect. I lost the get. I misplaced it. This is the first time I'm here to collect. I'm entitled to a ksuba payout. V'hu oimer, he disagrees. Avad sheivari, actually, you've been here before. You had showed your get, and bezdin compelled me to pay. They gave me a receipt, which I lost. V'chein bal chayv. In a similar fashion, we have a bal chayv. Ruvain has a claim on Shimon. Shohitzi shtar chayv. He produces a loan document. Problem is, it's after the 7th year, and we know that Shemitah absolves him of payment. Ve'enimay pruzbol. He doesn't have that pruzbol document to go along with the shtar chayv. This is pretty much a document which allows you to transfer your loans to the bezdin, and Rashi explains bezdin has the ability to collect even after Shemitah passes. So this was a procedure done to sort of address any concern that a creditor might have regarding losing his loan. So typically it was something done, and he doesn't have anything to prove that he did that he actually wrote a pruzbul. He says, I had it, but I lost it. And the borrower disagrees. He says, what do you mean? It's past Shemitah, it's over. You never had a pruzbul. In both these cases, in case A, where she produces a ksuba without a get to go along with it, and he claims, you've been paid up already. Case B, Baal Chayv has a shtar, but no pruzbul, and it's post Shemitah. Both cases, they cannot collect on their claim. There's one exception. According to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, well, if times are dangerous and the non-Jewish decrees did not allow for really following these formal Jewish procedures using a get or a prusbul, in which case people would just, write up the get and quickly discard of it. Same with a prusbul. Therefore, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer min hasakana ve'elach, when times are dangerous and decrees are making it difficult for us to actually hold on to these documents, there's a special dispensation, a special takana. Isha goyva ksubos shaloi beget. In that case, even if an isha will just come along with, let's say, a ksuba, but no get, rest assured, this is her first time here because they certainly have already destroyed her get. They didn't keep it around too long. So therefore, you can't say, well, you've been here before with your get, and she's entitled to the ksuba payat on account of her ksuba document. And likewise, a Baal Chayv comes to collect on his loan after Shemuta. He happens not to have a prusbul with him. We assume that in fact he produced that prusbul and discarded of it. So let's go back to case A in the Mishnah. She's moitzi a get without a ksuba. The Mishnah says he's obligated to pay, even though he can theoretically say, look, I want you to show me the ksuba and then I'll pay you. Whereas now I'm going to have to pay, and I'm going to have to get a receipt from you to document that payment and hold on to that receipt, lest you come back and collect again based on your ksuba document, or based on the fact that maybe he'll pass away and she'll come to the Bezdin after his passing and she'll say, well, I never got divorced, I'm just a widow and I deserve my ksuba. So I need a receipt for that, right? And I have to hold on to that receipt. If I drop it, if I lose it, if I misplace it, I may end up having to pay again. I don't want to have that obligation to hold on to receipts. That's not right. Rather, you bring me your ksuba and then we'll talk. The fact that the Mishnah sides with her, so to speak, the Mishnah says she produces a get, you have to pay her for the ksuba. Shema min ha'kosin shever. We have proof from this Mishnah that you can compel a person to accept a receipt. You can force him to pay in exchange for a receipt. Because if that would be untrue, that you have a right to force a person to accept a receipt in exchange for payment, there's always a concern that after his passing, she might find her ksuba and come collect on it by claiming that she was a widow. And use it to collect. So apparently, we give him that receipt, which he has to hold on to for dear life. That's a big issue. The Gemara in Bava Basra talks about it, and Rashi says the psak halacha is we don't force that upon a person. He has a right to say, look, I'll pay you, but first give me back that document. Return the ksuba. And here we see otherwise. That's a kasha. Amar Rav. No. She never had a ksuba, and therefore he can't expect her to return it to him. Why? We're speaking about a locale, a community where they would not even write a ksuba. It was just an established, fixed takana that you pay a ksuba without actually writing up the document. So she has no ksuba to speak of. You can't demand the return of that ksuba which never existed. Ushmuel Amar, according to Shmuel, no. Even if it is standard procedure to write a ksuba, still you can insist on the husband paying that ksuba payout in exchange for a receipt. Going back to the kasha, Shmuel Kesler shaver. Do you mean that according to him, we force him to accept the receipt? And that's problematic. No. Amar of Onan. Lididi mefarshali. It was explained to me in the name of Shmuel, or from him directly. He wasn't really disagreeing much. He was just saying that actually there are two variations, two ways that there could be no ksuba expected here. Either b'makim she'en koisvin ksuba, either we're speaking about a place that, to begin with, they don't write ksubas. And even if he claims that he happened to write a ksuba, a personal ksuba, you can write a ksuba if you choose to. V'amar kasafti, he claims he wrote a ksuba and he wants to see that ksuba before he pays the ksuba payout. Well, that's a problem. He has to prove that he wrote a ksuba, because the assumption is that there was no ksuba. She's not expected to produce a ksuba. So in this case, V'amar Kasafti claims that he did. Alav Lavi Raya, he must prove that in fact there is a ksuba in existence. Otherwise, he must pay without the ksuba. And likewise, b'makom shekoisfen, if it so happens to be that they do write ksubos in this place, but she claims that it so happens to be that in this instance there was no ksuba written. V'amar loy kasavli, she claims he never gave me a ksuba. Well, Alav Lavi Raya, in this case she has to prove her claim, and in fact if she can prove it, so we don't expect a ksuba to surface because there was no ksuba written. So in any of these two cases, either they have no ksuba in terms of the local tradition, or she claims and she proves that there was no ksuba, we don't expect her to produce a ksuba, and therefore he has to pay based on the fact that she produced a get. He can't say, well, I'm not going to pay until you give me a ksuba which doesn't exist. So certainly he can get himself a receipt, but the point here is that we have no kasha. Again, what was the kasha? There's a whole discussion about Basra, whether you can insist on a fellow paying up his debt in exchange for a receipt, or, right, that's one opinion. The other opinion would say no, he can insist on receiving back his document before he pays, lest the claimer collect twice, with that document. I want it back before I pay. So that's a machlekes, and the psak halacha is you cannot force him to pay unless he actually gets back his original document. So why in this case does the Mishnah say a get, she produced a get proving divorce, but she can't produce the original ksuba document? He has to pay the ksuba amount in exchange for a receipt. Why? And the answer is because in this place we have no ksuba. So he can't insist on her returning the ksuba before he pays. There is no ksuba. Continues the Gemara. V'af Rav Hadarbe. And the truth is that Rav himself also reversed slightly modified his interpretation of the Mishnah. Rav had earlier told us that we're speaking about a place that has no ksuba. Rav sort of changed that pshat. The Amar Rav, bein b'mokim she'koisvin, bein b'mokim she'ein koisvin. It's irrespective of whether or not they write a ksuba in that location. The Mishnah will be fully understood regardless. You know why? Get, when Isha produces the divorce document, the get, goiva, ikar, that allows her to collect the base amount, the base ksuba amount, which is 200 zuz. Ksuba, if she's lucky enough to still have her ksuba, then goiva teisefis. She's entitled to collect the supplemental ksuba amount, which the husband may have added onto the basic amount. If anybody wants to ask on me, to challenge my pshat and ask a kasha, go ahead. You're welcome to do so. Basically, this lays the matter to rest. It answers all problems. What was your kasha? How can you force him to pay the ksuba when she's not giving him a ksuba in return? You're forcing him to accept a receipt which he might lose. That's not fair. Answer: there's no issue here. There's no chance that she's going to collect again later. He doesn't have to have a receipt. You know why? Because standard procedure is, when she produces a get, she gets the base amount. When she produces a ksuba, she gets the supplemental amount. That's it. There's no double dipping. She's never going to collect twice. See, we had originally thought that he has to get a receipt, because otherwise he may be in trouble in the future. Now he's paying once because of the get, the full amount because of the get. Then later on, she might come back again and collect again for the ksuba, because she's producing the ksuba document. Answer is no, it's incorrect. It's split into two stages. The base amount she'll get for the get, no more. And in fact, if she produces the actual ksuba document, she'll get the supplemental amount. So there are absolutely no worries on his side. He doesn't have to get a receipt. Okay, so we're pretty much clear on the first halacha in the Mishnah. There are three parts to the Mishnah. The first part discussed, she showed us her her get, but no Kesuba document, what does she get? She gets paid. Why? How can he force the husband to pay? He's insisting on seeing that Kesuba before he pays anything. We have two possible answers, Rav and Shmuel. According to Shmuel, we're speaking there was no Kesuba in this town. According to Rav, there's never any issue of double dipping. The get entitles her to the base amount, and the Kesuba, if in fact she produces it later, will entitle her to the extra amount. Let's move on to part 2 of the Mishnah. Tanan. Ksuba ve'enimo get. She produced the Ksuba document without any get. And they're having a whole dialogue. She claims that she lost the get. She certainly never used it to present any monetary claims against him. I never collected my Ksuba. This is the first time I'm in Bezdin to collect. He disagrees. He says, actually, you've been here before with your get. I gave you the Ksuba payout. In fact, I had a receipt, which I lost. In similar fashion, we have a regular Baal Chayv, my prusbul without that prusbul. In both cases, there is no payment issued. Let's analyze this Mishnah based on Rav and Shmuel. I can understand this halacha based on Shmuel's approach. Shmuel, again, was the one who held that when you produce a get, you get the entire amount. You get the base amount, you get the tesefes, right? But you will give him a receipt, and he can't insist on seeing any ksuba document which doesn't exist. Right? That's the pshat in the first halacha of the Mishnah. So according to him, Bishlam Shmuel, I will understand the second halacha as well. Why, when she produced a ksuba without a get, she will get 0. Mukila, he will interpret this halacha to be speaking about the following situation. V'mokim shein koisvin. It's a locale which doesn't typically use an actual ksuba document. It's just assumed, it's understood. You don't actually formulate it in writing. V'amar kasafti. It so happens to be that he claimed that he actually, took the extra step. He wrote out a ksuba. And therefore, when she came along with he claims that when she came along with, this is not her first time coming, right? She's coming with the ksuba now, but he claims that she was here before. This is her second time in Bezdin. She had already come earlier and produced her get. And at that time, the Bezdin was going to obligate me to pay her, as per the first halach in the Mishnah. A get entitles her to the ksuba payat, right? And I was claiming, I was yelling and screaming, what do you mean? True, typically in this town they don't write a ksuba, but I happen to write her a ksuba. Believe me, she has a ksuba, let her show it before she gets paid. We didn't accept that claim. We didn't believe him. We actually told him, look, sure, it sounds nice, prove it. I see raya, prove, in fact, that you wrote a ksuba. If you couldn't provide that proof, we compelled him we told him to go pay her. And we gave him a receipt in exchange for that payment, which he claims he lost. So now, second time around, she's here with a ksuba, which she miraculously discovered. So he claims, right? This is her second time around, as per his claim. I'm not giving her anything. I already paid her. So the halacha makes perfect sense. She produced a ksuba without a get. He can claim this is her second time around. I told you so. I knew this was going to happen. But according to Rav, what's the issue? Why can't she get paid? At least something. Remember, we split it between the get and the ksuba. The ikar ksuba, the base amount, is due to her when she produces a get. So say she already produced her get that she got the ikar. Okay, don't give her the ikar. Okay, at worst, she already got the ikar. Okay, discount that part. And now when she's producing the ksuba document, give her the supplemental amount, which she certainly never got. I understand why she shouldn't get the base amount if you're concerned that she may have already gotten that when perhaps she already brought her get along with her last time. Let her get the extra amount. which a person only gets when he produces a ksuba. This is her first time producing the ksuba. That's a kasha. Amar of Yosef. You know what the case is here is? A very unique situation. There are no edim to prove that in fact she got divorced. We don't even know that as fact. Remember, she's only bringing a ksuba, which is the marriage document. She doesn't have the get, which is the divorce document. So that leads us to believe him. Why? We apply the concept of migu, since, because. In power of. Migu de. Look, if he was speaking falsely, he could have simply said, look, she's still my wife, I never divorced her. And then he certainly parted from paying. So, the fact that he chose to say the truth, I divorced her, but I already paid her, that gives him credibility. If he was lying, he could have lied much better. So apparently he's saying the truth. Sure, I divorced, but I already paid her the ksuba. Asks the Gemara, okay, we're speaking that there are no edim who know about the divorce. Let's move on to the third part of the Mishnah, which is clearly speaking about edim who know about the divorce. In times of danger, we allow the isha to collect without a get. Now, apparently, we're speaking apparently there are edim here who know about the divorce, because otherwise, what's she collecting? Because if there are no edim about the gerushin, b'mai gavya, then why would she collect? According to what you just told me, that when there are no edim, the husband is believed. So apparently there are edim who know about the divorce, and that compels them to pay the ksuba. If there are edim, so that's back to the kasha. Why wouldn't he have to pay in the middle case as well? When she produces the ksuba, let him give her the tesefes, which she certainly never received. Answers the Gemara, no, we're speaking about various cases here. We're going back and forth. And in fact, in that middle case of the Mishnah, there are edim. Ella kula, Rabban, Shimon, Ben Gamliel. In fact, the entire Mishnah was authored by the same Tana, Rashi Gamliel. And sometimes the Mishnah is meant to be learned as though it's missing some words. Rabbi Yehuda wrote it in very concise form. So we have to put in some words. And read it as follows. So we're at part 2 of the Mishnah. She produced a ksuba with no get. A Baal Chayv produced a shtar with no prusbul. In both cases, no payment. When does this apply? When we have no proof. We have no independent confirmation about this divorce. So the husband has a migu. He could have denied the entire episode, and therefore he's believed to say he paid her. But perhaps if we do have edim who know about the gerushin, gavya tesefes. So now she's entitled to get the supplemental part of the ksuba payout, because as we explained, that was never given to her. That only comes to her when she produces the ksuba, which she's doing now. Regarding the main amount, the ikar, the base amount, the primary payout, well, for that she has to prove her claim with a get. Imapka gita gabya. If she has the ability to produce the get, she collects. But otherwise, viloy mapka gita, but she doesn't produce a get. Loy gabya, she does not get that payout. So this is fully consistent with Rav. And the Mishnah continues, part 3. When it's the time of sakana, even if she doesn't have a get, she can collect. Because he told us that misakana ve'elach, isha goiva ksevasa shalei beget, and the isha can collect without a get. She's not expected to produce a get under these circumstances. And we know she certainly didn't use the get to collect, because the get was taken away as soon as it was written, as soon as it was given to the isha. Likewise, the Baal Chayv has the ability to collect after Shemitah, even without producing the actual prusbul document. Okay, let's just summarize the 3 parts of our Mishnah. We're speaking about an isha who would like to collect her ksuba payout. In part 1 of the Mishnah, she produced a get, and that's it. she can collect her ksuba for one or two reasons. According to Rav, because the get entitles her to get the ikar ksuba. If she'll want the rest, she'll have to produce a ksuba document. So there's no danger. There's no risk involved. According to Shmuel, we're speaking about a town where they don't write iksuba. Or they write, but she will bring a raya, an edim, that there was no ksuba written in her case. So either way, you can't insist on her producing a ksuba document. Rather, she'll pay it, and he'll get a receipt in exchange. The next halacha in the Mishnah spoke about an isha producing just a ksuba without a get. She does not get her payout. Why? Well, according to Rab, was speaking, there are no edim about the divorce. So the husband is neman because of the migu. He could have said, I never divorced. According to Shmuel, the reason for the non-payout in this case is because it's a makom that has no ksuba, and he will say, look, I know I was given a receipt when she came the first time with the get, and I paid her then, I got a receipt, and I lost that receipt. Therefore, he's not obligated to pay this time around. In the third case, we have the Shasa Sakana. According to the Mishim Gamliel, we allow for some leeway in this case, because chances are the get was destroyed as soon as it was, issued in the Bezdin. Nobody used it to collect. She not expected to have it. And in this case, she can collect even without bringing any get. And as we concluded, we're speaking, of course, that there are edim that know about the gerushin, in which case the husband can't just deny it, flatly. We know that he divorced, and therefore she can collect on her ksuba, presumably upon bringing her ksuba document to Bezdin. Continues the Gemara, Amrilei, Rav Kahana, Rav Asi. So these two Amoraim asked Rav, Amrilei LeRav, Lididach, the Amris. Let's analyze for a moment your opinion. You say, get, when you produce a get, goiva ikar, that allows it to collect the main part of the ksuba. Now, we're going to have a problem. If the only way to collect your ksuba is by producing a get, what about a widow who has no get? Almona menanesuin v'maigavya. She was married. She became a widow. How is she going to collect her ksuba that she's fully entitled to? She has no get. Answer: beidei misa. She has edim that her husband passed away. That's enough. Well, v'leichosh, there is still a concern. Maybe she was really divorced. He divorced her before his death. Dilma Girsha, he already divorced her. And then he passed away. And people didn't know about the gerushin. He passed away, thinking that everyone's thinking she's an almana. And she goes to the Bezdin, collects her ksuba, and then what does she do? She collects again. Umapka legita v'gavibe. She brings her get to a different town, a different Bezdin, and collects with it again. Answer is v'yeshevas tachas bal. We're speaking that she was with her husband, until the last stage of his life. So she was with him all the way to the end. In which case, we know she was not divorced beforehand. So in that case, an almana can collect her ksuba based on edim. Let's speak about her husband's death. There's no concern that she was also divorced. Well, it's very common for a person to be megarish, immediately prior to his death. So she's, on a yivama, etc. So maybe that's what happened. She stayed with him, until the very end, but then he divorced her at the last moment, and we'll never know about that. Now she'll collect twice, one on account of his death, and then she'll go to another bezdin and collect on account of her divorce. Answer is, the husband himself, who the afsid and avshei, he brought about his own loss, meaning he should have publicized that fact that he divorced her, which would preempt this double collection. Next question is, almona mina erisin b'maigavya. What about an isha who was just engaged? She was not living with him to indicate, that they were, married and etc. She was living separately at that point, and then he passed away, and she'll still get her ksuba payout. How is she going to collect? Be'edei misa, we assume, by providing evidence of his death, right? Well, v'leichush ilma girsha. In this case, you have no answer, as you gave before. Maybe he really divorced her, and then he passed away. Umapka gita v'gavya. First, she'll collect on account of his death as an almana, and then she'll pretend to be a gerusha as well and collect again. See, before we said, well, they lived together until the last moment, which is indicative of a non-divorce situation. But here, they live separately. We have no indication one way or the other. Maybe, in fact, he divorced her during his lifetime. Elo says, the Gemara, you're right. Apparently, when there's no other alternative, no other option, we will have to apply the shevar procedure, the receipt issuing procedure. There's no other way to do this. So although typically we shy away from that, as we explained before, but here, it's the only way to go about it. She's entitled to her ksuba payat. She's not, misleading us. Her husband passed away. She's an almana. She's entitled. How can you object? So although you have all kinds of chashashas, concerns that she might turn around and collect again, okay, they're legitimate concerns, but give him a receipt. Right? She issues a receipt to him, and that's it. We hope for the best. Because if you don't follow this line, I'm going to prove to you that a receipt is sometimes issued, and sometimes the only way to go about it. I have a question for you. Eidei misa gufayu. Skip the concern about double dipping, a divorce, and widow. A typical almana. Husband passed away. She brings two eidim that he died. That in itself is not a clear-cut situation. Why? Neichush, we can still be concerned. Dilma mapka eidei misa b'hai beidina. Maybe she'll produce two eidim to support her husband's death in this bezdin. Collect over here, v'gavya, v'hader, and then turn around and do the same thing down the road. Mapka b'beidin achrina. She'll produce an additional two witnesses that her husband passed away, v'gavya, which will enable her to collect again. So aside from coming back and claiming to be a divorcee, like we said before, an almana herself can claim 2-3 times. Apparently, there's no other option. There's no better alternative. We issue a receipt and hope that he holds on to it. That's going to be the only solution in this case. Amalei Mark Shisha, brother of Chizda Rav Ashi. So Rashi brings that Rav Chizda had 2 sons. A younger one who was Mar Yenuka, and the older one Mar Keshisha. So both their names were Mar. The younger one was Yenuka, the younger one, and the older one was Keshisha, indicating, maturity. The older one, like Kashish. So they asked. So Mar Keshisha asks Rav Ashi, I have a question. We're working with the assumption. It's pretty clear from the previous dialogue in the Gemara that even an almana whose husband passed away during the engagement period is entitled to kesuba, even without having even formulated it into a document. Right? They might have a question. Well, she'll go from one bezdin to the other. Right? She's an arusa, and she's going to collect her kesuba and go over to the next bezdin and collect a ksuba again based on the same, set of facts. She's going to double charge. Well, if she has to produce a ksuba, she can't double charge. She already returned the ksuba the first time around. So it's pretty clear from the Gemara that even an almana, under these circumstances, almana and erison, is goyva the ksuba by default, without even writing it up into a document. Menolan, how do we know the isla ksuba that she has, the standard ksuba? Ilema, is it perhaps from the following Mishnah? Mahat. In this armla, in this garsha, an isha who became an almana or got divorced, beimin and irison, beimin and assume whether during the engagement period or post-marriage, goiva esakoil, she's entitled to collect the entire ksuba amount, whether it's the base standard amount or the supplemental amount which the husband added. That's the Tanakama. And we have the other shita. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler disagrees. He says, the base amount she gets, but not the extra. That's only for post-married women. In any case, we see that even an almana from Erusin is entitled to ksuba. Well, says the Gemara, perhaps Dilma the Kesubos, who says that it's presumed maybe he actually was kaisiv a ksuba. He can actually write a ksuba if he wants to, even during engagement. That's the case in the Mishnah. Well, well, then you'll say, if we're speaking that he actually gave her the ksuba, then why even discuss it? That's such an obvious halacha. Well, there is some sort of chiddush here. La fuki midir Rabbi Yehuda ben Azari. It's coming in dispute of Rabbi Yehuda ben Azari. The Amar who disagrees, who says shalei kasav la, she will not get the tesefes if it's still pre-marriage. Shalei kasav la ella almanas shel koinsa, because his intent was to give it to her only post-marriage. But bottom line is, we're speaking that he actually was kaisiv ksuba. Dekanami. In fact, I'll prove it from the wording of the Mishnah that he went ahead and wrote the ksuba, the ktani goiva es hakoil. If he dies during engagement, she gets everything. What does everything mean? This works well if he actually wrote up that document. That explains why she's getting everything. Whatever he wrote in the document. The base, the supplemental amount, everything. But if we're just allotting it to her based on the standard, procedure, not due to his actual writing it to her, then my goyvas hakoil. What do you mean she gets everything? What's everything? Man el masayim hud isla. She only gets the base amount, 100, 200, based on whether she's, a besula or not. There's no more than that. The fact that the Mishnah alludes to some greater amount indicates that there was a personal commitment in writing. So we have no proof to our shaila. How do we know that a arusa has an automatic ksuba? We don't know that yet. Ve'ela, rather, it's from the following halacha. Midetani Rav Chia Baram, Ishtay Arusa. So his kala, his arusa passes away. Loy oinin. Typically, when a close relative passes away, on the day of passing, he's called an oinon. He can't eat kachim. Well, not in this case. If he's a kohen, he has no ability to be metame, to be involved in her burial, which is typical for for a husband to do on behalf of his wife. She's not his wife yet; she was only engaged to him. And likewise, her to him. If he passes away, she's not an oinen, and she has no mitzvah to get involved in his burial. Meisa, eino yersha. Should she pass away, he will not inherit her possessions, which is something specific to a husband, as opposed to during the engagement period. Likewise, Meisu goiva ksubasav. But if he passes away, she's entitled to the ksuba payat. Clearly, an arusa has ksuba. Well, dimod the kasavla. Perhaps here as well, he actually gave her the ksuba. He committed to her in writing. But who says it's just assumed? Well, perhaps he'll say, ikasavla my lememra. If it is so that he actually wrote it, then why even discuss it? You know why we discuss it? Not so much for this halacha, that she's entitled to the ksuba, it's pretty obvious. He committed to her. Mesa eino yarsha istrichalei. The point is that even though he gave her a ksuba, which brought them closer to each other, still the halacha of Mesa eino yarsha, that when she dies, he will not get her inheritance, that still holds true. That's a chiddush. And that's why the Brisa mentioned it. But again, we're speaking that he actually gave her the ksuba, he wrote it to her, but you can't really prove whether or not an arusa will have a ksuba by default. So we don't really have a conclusion on that question. But here comes another question. Amalei Rav Nachman l'Rav Huna. I have a question on Rav's shita. Remember, Rav told us, producing a get entitles you to the ikar ksuba, producing the ksuba document entitles you to the tesefes. Right? Now, the Rav, the Amar get, govi ikar. According to Rav, when you produce a get, you get the base amount. We know that typically, who holds on to the get? The Isha. Right? To substantiate her divorce. If that's the case, she can double dip. Leichosh, let's be concerned. Dilma mapka gita. Perhaps she'll produce the get today. B'hai beidina, in this bezdin. V'gavin, collect on it. V'hodja, mapka, bebeidina achrina, v'gavin. And do the same thing down the road in a different bezdin and collect again. She'll just reuse the get over and over. V'chi tema, perhaps you'll say the karina lei, we just tear it up the first time. You can't. You can't take it away from her. She needs proof of divorce. Amra, she'll say, but I want to remarry using this document. So it's a catch-22. We leave it by her, she might double charge. We take it away, she can't remarry. So what's the solution? Dikarinale. We give it a tear, and we leave it in her hands, because Svina Nagabe, and we add some writing on the, we write into the margin of the get, as follows. Gita Dinan. You should know that this get, Karanui, we ripped it up. Lav Mishum de Gita Paslu, not to indicate that there's something wrong with the get. No, of course not. Elo deleti hadar. It's only to ensure that she won't turn around. V'tigbi beis zimnachrin and collect with it again. This way we solve the whole problem. Continues the Mishnah. Shnei gitin u'shtei ksubos. Listen to this. An isha shows up with 2 gittin, indicating marriage, divorce, remarriage, and divorce. U'shtei ksubos, with 2 ksuba documents as well. In this order. Ksuba, then came the get. Then came the later ksuba, dated later, and then came the later get. Goiva shtei ksubos, she's entitled to both ksuba payouts. Why? Because even though when you remarry, we learned this a couple of days ago, when you remarry, you're not obligated to give her another ksuba. It's all included in the first ksuba, but in this case he chose to write her a ksuba. So he has to pay twice. But if it's shtei ksubos, they get echad. Suppose she's in possession of 2 ksuba documents, one written today, one written tomorrow, and then she has a get to back it up, to top it up. So in this case, well, it's either or. You can't collect both. Then the Gemara will tell us that he actually added something in the second ksuba, give her an extra amount. Okay, so you can choose. You can use the first ksuba, which gives you the advantage of the earlier date, which allows you to collect from the earlier buyers, or you can choose to use the later ksuba with the later date, containing the greater amount. It's up to you. Or a ksuba shnei gittin. She has 2 gittin, indicating marriage, divorce from the same husband. This whole mission, by the way, is speaking about the same husband, right? So she has 2 divorces, but 1 ksuba. A ksuba v'getu misa. We have a ksuba, then she divorced, then her husband passed away. In all these cases, eina goiva el ksuba achas. She's only entitled to 1 ksuba payout. Why? You married her twice. It's all included. A person divorces and remarries. Al mas ksuba rishen machzira. It's all included in the first ksuba commitment. So back to the first case, where she has 2 ksubas from 2 marriages. Right? She had a ksuba, she got divorced, another ksuba following that divorce, and another divorce. Sorry, we're going to the next case. Second case of the Mishnah. Shtei ksubas v'get echad. She has 2 ksubas from the same marriage. What does the Mishnah say? She can't use both, but she can choose. She has the option of using either one. Hiboya b'hai gavya. She can use either one. Leima tiyavet yufta Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. This seems to be out of sync with Rav Nachman's halacha. The Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel shtei shtaris. When you have shnei shtaris hayotzim b'zeh, let's say there are 2 documents indicating the same event. Reuben borrowed money from Shimon, Reuben borrowed money from Shimon. This redundancy creates a clash. It's one or the other. Bitel hasheni is a rishon. Apparently, they wanted the second document to negate the first one. So even though it's a later, written later, apparently he was meichel on the commitment, on the shibud from the earlier date, and we start fresh. You can't have 2 documents describing the same event. Here as well, the second ksubak should cancel the first one. Lav itmar Allah, but haven't we learned a pshat on that Allah? Amar Papa, Moeder of Nachman, even Rav Nachman would agree in the following case that you can still use the first one. Di oisiv beit dikla. Suppose, he has a document indicating a sale, a mecher on this field, another document indicating another sale on the same field. But in the second document, he added another palm tree to the deal. It's pretty clear why he composed that second document, because he wanted to add that additional component. He wasn't trying to negate the first document. He wasn't trying to cancel it. It's up to you. You can use the first one, which gives you that extra advantage in terms of the earlier date, you can use the second document, which gives you an advantage in terms of the extra date tree. The same very case happened in our Mishnah as well. He married her once. He wrote her one ksuba, but he added another ksuba because he increased the amount. So it's up to her. There's no negation, there's no cancellation. Choose whichever one you want to use. Suppose she comes to the best. Look, I was divorced. Here's my get. Here's my ksuba document. And I have Adam that my husband passed away. So how many ksubos does she collect? We learned in the Mishnah, typically, the second marriage is sort of included in the first marriage. If he didn't write another ksuba in honor of the second marriage, but if he did write a new ksuba, then he has to pay again. So in this case, we take a close look at the sequence of events. She has a get, ksuba, and misa, right? So im get kodim the ksuba, if the date in the divorce document precedes the date in the ksuba, so he married, divorced, retook her, and wrote another ksuba the second time around. Oh, now he's obligated to pay that ksuba. Goiva she ksuba. He pays twice. She collects twice. One on account of the first marriage, and one on account of the second marriage because he specifically issued her a new ksuba in honor of that marriage. But ksuba kademas leget. If the date in the ksuba precedes the get, indicating that there was a ksuba and then get, and then he remarried without giving another ksuba and then he died, Eino goiva el ksuba achash. She's entitled to merely one ksuba. Why? When one divorces and retakes, almanas ksuba rishon echzira. It's meant to be included in the first ksuba, and therefore there's only one obligation. Okay, so what did we learn today? We spoke about an isha who's collecting a ksuba. If she produces just a get, that's okay. She gets a ksuba payout. According to Shmuel, because we're speaking that there is no ksuba that he can demand to see. According to Rav, there's never an issue altogether because the get will entitle her to the ikar. The ksuba, when she shows that document, she'll get the tesefes. So it's a pretty foolproof method to ensure no double charging. In the second case, we have the isha showing her ksuba document that does not entitle her because, well, according to Shmuel, he'll say, where's the get? I know what happened. You already came to collect once with your get. They gave me a receipt which I lost. And therefore, you're not entitled. According to Rav, theoretically, she should get something. But we're speaking about a unique case where there are no edim about the divorce. And therefore, you have to trust him. Take him by his word, because if he's lying, he could have just said, well, I never divorced her. So he's neman. The third case, we have shasa sakana. In that case, you don't even need a get, just edim that she was divorced, and you produce the ksuba and you get paid. According to all shittas, by the almana, where there's no better alternative, of course you issue the receipt and he has to live with that. We had a question regarding an almana and an irison. Does she get a ksuba? Well, if he gives her the ksuba, sure, but otherwise we're not sure. What do we do with the get of an isha? We tear it, slightly, and we add our comment on it to indicate that this is not meant to be used further. It's a perfectly fine get, but was just invalidated so that it's not collected upon again. We learned that if he gives her two ksubas with something extra in the second one, that gives her the option to choose to use either one. A machsa grushasa. Well, typically it's included in the first ksuba. Actually, interesting shayla. Let's see, he already paid out the first ksuba, and now he remarries her. It would seem from some shittas that in this case, perhaps according to all shittas, in this case, he would actually have to pay her again. But the halacha in the Mishnah is speaking that he never paid out that first ksuba, and he took her back quickly. It's included in the first ksuba payout. So bottom line is, if he divorces or passes away, he's only obligated once. But if he actually wrote her two ksubas, one the first time around, one the second time around, in this case, he will have to give her two ksubas. All the best to you, and besuras tevis.